what an absolute honor it is to be here, and beautiful, kind of distractingly beautiful to be right on the water here and on this panel. I both love and hate following Nadine, but unequivocally love the leadership that Nadine has been providing in New West and in the region. So my name's Christine Boyle. I'm a second-term city councillor in the city of Vancouver and a third-generation settler on unceded Coast Salish lands. I often, when I'm talking about climate, and particularly talking about climate and local government, start with a reminder that in the city of Vancouver specifically, and the numbers are similar in other municipalities, our largest sources of greenhouse gas emissions are 55% from burning what we call natural gas, fracked methane gas in buildings, and 40% from burning gas in transportation. So the city of Vancouver has a long history of green and climate type initiatives, and we've done lots of good work locally, lots of good leadership, but we continue to fail at meeting our greenhouse gas emission reduction targets. And so I think it's important to keep naming what those largest sources of emissions are so that our efforts are focused there. There's a whole range of good and important work that intersects, but we aren't going to get there without also naming that we need to get off gas. We need to get our buildings off of gas. We need to get our transportation systems off of gas. We need to do that in a way that builds healthier, safer, and more equitable communities. And so I also want to name some good news. And as Nadine said, the good news is actually we know how to get there. We have the solutions. They are well within our reach. The bad news is that we aren't doing it. And so I said Vancouver has a long history of leadership on this front. The challenge right now is that we don't have a local government in Vancouver that intends to continue to lead on climate. And for me, one of the things that means is I keep looking to other local governments, and it's great to be in New West and be able to highlight their work. There are other local governments in the region and across the province who are leading on a whole number of climate initiatives. There's a ton of great work happening in New West, in Burnaby, the city of Victoria, actually all over the province. And as I lie in bed worrying that Vancouver is going backwards, ripping out bike lanes, and I won't depress us. We're not doing enough. There are local governments elsewhere doing more, and hopefully surpassing us and continuing to push with the urgency that young people remind us of, with the urgency that scientists remind us of. And the other thing I'll say, and my provincial friends here have heard me say it before, we also need the province to be a backstop. So both at the local government level and at the provincial level, we need to move from incentive-based measures, and we've been doing a lot of that in Vancouver, to mandatory measures. So George referenced my own family trying to put in a heat pump, and we did a ton of research, like the huge nerds that we are, to figure out how to do this. But, we can't expect that everyone put that much time in. Not everybody finds that fun. I hope not. I hope most of you have better hobbies than spending a year figuring out how to put a heat pump in your home. And both at the local level and at every level of government, we need to, as we said, make it a lot easier and make it required. And particularly look at where is that hardest and how do we provide the support? So one of the key things Nadine and I have talked a lot about is how we require fuel switching in rental buildings and social housing buildings, and pair that with some specific measures in the RTA that protect tenants so that tenants aren't getting displaced or seeing their rents go up as their buildings transition to heat pumps to provide cooling and to get off of gas. So a lot of measures that, again, as you've been hearing on this panel and all day, intersect between the urgent need to act on climate, to move from from voluntary to mandatory, and to do so in a way that lifts up those most struggling and addresses the affordability challenges that folks are facing, addresses the health and safety risks that people are facing, and addresses the huge mental health impacts that this unpredictable weather and our fear about our collective future is having on all of us. I'll leave it there.
Thank you, Christine. And